Okay, we're going to continue our study of the order of operations. So our problem has 6 plus 16 minus 4 divided by 2 squared plus 2 minus 1. P again stood for parentheses and all other grouping symbols, and technically a fraction is considered a grouping symbol. Although they're not parentheses around the numerator and denominator, they are understood or implied to be there. So you can actually put parentheses around them, and that makes the problem a little bit easier. I'm going to recopy the 6. In the top of our fraction, we have 16 minus 4. 16 minus 4 is 12. In the bottom of our fraction, we have 2 squared plus 2. I know that 2 squared is 4, and 4 plus 2 is 6. Our next line says 6 plus 12 divided by 6 minus 1. I know that division comes next, so 12 divided by 6 would give me 2, and 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 minus 1 is 7. Our next one has variables. So I have 5, open my brackets, 2 minus parentheses y plus 3. We start at our innermost set of parentheses, which is the y plus 3, but I can't simplify the y plus 3, so I'm going to grab the next closest thing, which would be that negative sign. What that actually means, I'm going to rewrite the problem. Since I know I'm dealing with that negative sign, it's understood to be a negative 1. So I can take that negative 1 and multiply it through the parentheses. So I have a 5 outside and then a 2 inside. Negative 1 times y would be negative y, and negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. I'm going to keep the 5. Inside the brackets, I have a 2 and a negative 3. They have different signs, so I'm going to subtract and take the sign of the larger, which would make that a negative 1. Finishing this one out, I have a 5 outside, and I'm going to distribute it through. So I get negative 5 minus 5y, and that's my answer. Our next problem says negative 3 times negative 6 plus 8, all of that's cubed, minus 5 times negative 2 plus 5, all of that's squared. Work inside the parentheses first. So I know that negative 6 plus 8 would give me a 2, and negative 2 plus 5 would give me a 3. Recopy everything else. So I have negative 3 times that 2 I found earlier, and that 2 is cubed. Minus 5 times the 3 I found earlier, and that 3 is squared. When you get ready to simplify this one, make sure that you know that exponents come first. Do not say 3 times 2 is 6 because that puts multiplication first. So you want to make sure you do your exponents first. Negative 2 to the third is negative 2. I misspoke. 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2, which would give me 8. 3 to the second is 3 times 3, which would give me 9. Recopying the rest of the problem, I have negative 3 times that 8, negative 5 times that 9. Multiplying, I would get a negative 24 minus 5 times 4 is 45. These have the same sign, so I'm going to add them, and I get a negative 69. Our next one is a doozy. We have 14x squared plus 5 minus the brackets, and inside the brackets you have 7 times x squared minus 2 plus 4. We're going to work inside the brackets first. So 7 times x and 7 times 2. We get 14x squared plus 5 minus, this would give me 7x squared minus 14 plus 4. Copy down everything. Inside the brackets, I see a 7x squared. It doesn't have any other like terms, so I'm going to just bring it down. Then I have negative 14 plus 4. They have different signs, so I'm going to subtract and take the sign of the larger, which would be a minus 10. To get rid of the negative sign, to get rid of the brackets, I'm going to use that negative sign, which is understood to be a negative 1. And I'm going to multiply that negative 1 through the brackets. So I get 14x squared plus 5 minus 7x squared, and two negatives would make a positive 10. Combining like terms, I have two x squared terms, a 14x squared and a negative 7x squared. So 14 minus 7 would give me 7x squared, and 5 plus 10 would give me 15. 7x squared plus 15 would be my answer. The last problem from this section asks you to evaluate the function 3x squared minus 2x when x equals negative 5. This is a popular problem that you would see in beginning algebra, intermediate algebra, college algebra, and even calculus for those of you who have to take it. What you're going to do is take the x's out. So you would have 3x squared minus 2x. What it tells you to do is replace x with its value, and the value for x here is negative 5. So I'm going to put a negative 5 everywhere we saw an x. Remember, exponents come first here, so we're going to say negative 5 to the second. Two negatives would make a positive 25, and I'll bring down everything else. 3 times 25 would give me 75. On the back side, negative 2 times negative 5 is a positive 10, and 75 plus 10 would give me 85.